Good evening, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Akedika show. I trust you've had a wonderful week. And trust and believe, May is already saying goodbye to us. Like, excuse me, we just got here. Like, we just got here. Spring has not sprung. Okay, so why are you so ready to leave? But yeah, the year, guys, is going so quickly. We're 4 months into 2023. Like, can you just have you had some time to reflect back on the year? Have you been doing the things that you said you're going to be doing this year? You know, maybe it's the I'm going to be going to the gym, or I'm going to commit to this thing, or I'm going to start reading. You know, those New Year goals. Let's revisit them if we have any anyway. Or if you're doing what you said you're going to be doing, then kudos to you, because it's not always easy to stick to something that you have to get into the habit of, or sometimes getting out of the habit of. That's the hard one, getting rid of a habit. But we are more than conquerors. We can do this. We got this. And actually, let's get straight into today's episode. I'm going to be talking about, if there's anybody in the live, hi, how are you doing today? Please let me know if you're on the live, and let's have a little chat. I want your full engagement, guys. I need to hear your mind on this, because I don't want to feel like I'm going nuts. Okay, like, why am I the only one who is seeing what I'm seeing or thinking the way I'm thinking? If not, y'all check on me, like, keep me in check as well. So first and foremost, the O2 Brixton Academy, there was an incident there with a Nigerian artist who goes by the name of Ashake, and I'm sure you all heard this. It was all over the news, all over TikTok, especially. What happened was insane, essentially, because this man, Nigerian artist, his success is sort of, I would say, unprecedented, because it kind of happened very, very quickly. Like, he's an amazing musician. His success kind of happened overnight. I wouldn't say overnight. The man might have been putting in work for years, but he won over a lot of people in a very short period of time. And when the show was planned, I'm sure in his mind, with his team and whoever his organizers, they thought, you know what, we can't guarantee, especially in that case, because you don't know how many fans you actually have. Your music is popular, and he accommodated for the O2 Academy. And it's wise, because not everybody, there's so much politics behind this, guys, so much politics that goes into music, because booking the O2 arena, or the SSE arena, Wembley arena, is not something everybody has access to. You have to prove that you have the capacity to bring that crowd in. And when you're a new artist and you're not really sure whether you have the capacity to fill up an arena like that, you tend to go for the smaller arenas. But now, the Met Police has requested that O2 Brixton Academy be shut down completely. And I believe there should be an outroar. There should be an uproar, because they're taking away something from the community. One, the community, Brixton. Brixton is, a very, it represents a minority, or presents people who are, less advantaged. I would say the community is, and there's people who come up in that community, and the arena has been a very significant part of, the movement, the growth of music industry, of artists, and of all other people who have, booked the place to express themselves in different ways. And if that's been taken out of the community, it's going to take away, there's people need that ladder to climb on. They need to be able to book small halls, small venues, to be able to book slightly bigger halls and venues, to being able to even fill up an O2 arena before they can even think or imagine they can do that. And this is not a very minor thing, because we've seen how, as soon as an event takes place in the community, in the people of color's community, as soon as an incident happens, shut down. That community building is being taken away. Their space of creativity, their space to be able to express themselves, is taken away, because they're deemed irresponsible. A tragic incident did happen. 2 people lost their lives, and a third was very badly injured. You cannot take away from that. However, I don't believe the solution is to shut down the O2 Academy. It's not. Guys, let me know what you think in the chat. Let me know, because this is not the first concert where people have lost their lives. Unfortunately, I can't even believe I'm saying this, but somebody goes to a concert to enjoy a wonderful evening of an artist they truly love. You don't think I'm not going to come back home alive, because you're not going to war. You're not going to, you're not going to war. You're not going to any place that is deemed a threat. However, people have lost their lives over the years going to concerts and shows. Let's talk about the bombing in Manchester, Ariana Grande concert. How did a show that big, how did they miss something like that? Because I'm sure that's part of the precautions, but has that arena been shut down? No. I searched it up. It's very much alive and operating. Why? That is a bomb as well. This is not people who treaded and trumped on each other. It was a bomb. That should have been red flag, shut down, security unable to manage, But even then, I'm not saying it should have been shut down, but I'm just trying to show you the scales here. They don't weigh up. Haven't the Met Police already been investigated for racism? They've been investigated for racism, for sexual misconduct, all kinds of things. So many people have lost their jobs recently in the police department sector due to, not handling themselves properly. And this was just one of those perfect excuses to be like, yep, let's jump on it. All these little boys who think they're going to make it, who think, oh, they're great, they're artists, let's just shut it down. We don't want to give them a platform. Take away their platform. That's exactly what it is. There's no other reason. There is no other reason, because when you have a problem, the solution is not just to shut down something. It's to think, okay, what can we do to improve the situation or to make things better? Because, for example, with youth centers all across the country, people were behaving delinquently in youth centers and they thought the solution was to, shut it down. They don't deserve youth centers. But now it just led to people being displaced, young people not having anywhere to go. And just, I've been dealing with recently with young children myself, with a community group that I'm a part of. And these kids are crying for a place to be able to go to, because they don't want to get in trouble. They don't want to be outside on the street and be targeted by predators. That's what we're going to call them. They don't want to be targeted by people who are going to take advantage of them. They want a safe space. They want a place to go and express themselves and be creative and be safe. However, youth centres all over the country, especially London, completely taken away. And I understand, because there was a lot of delinquent behaviour going on. However, it was not a solution. It just trickled on to more problems, and it caused more problems in the community for the youth especially. And this is what I'm seeing right now with O2 Brixton Academy being taken away. Artists who have come through the academy should speak up and be like, this was a platform for me. This was something that gave me purpose. I was thinking about the day I can perform in O2 Brixton Academy, and that was their motivation potentially. That was their motivation to keep their head in the game, to stay out of the trouble, to stay off the streets. That could have been their motivation. But if the Met Police are successful with this, which I know they're doing it out of spite, out of as a racial attack, for a community that doesn't fight back, unfortunately, a community that just sits there and allows things to happen to them until it's too late, and then they want to go to the extreme. But it should never get to that. Hi, Ramona Caesar. It's so lovely to see you in the chats. How are you doing, love? It's crazy. I agree with you. Thank you. And honestly, guys, you don't have to agree with me. You can challenge me on this, because if you genuinely believe that this is the best thing for that community to take away the O2 Arena as a response to an incident that happened, which is not the first time, unfortunately, people have lost their lives at concerts, but it did not result in the extreme of that venue being shut down. Yes, precautions were taken, re-establish themselves, think through about their security system and how they operate. And for the artist, I know that, imagine, your success, you're brand new into success, and something like that happens, it stays with someone. I'm pretty sure to this day, he probably feels the guilt of the incident that took place, because at the end of the day, it was supposed to be a great evening of people enjoying themselves and enjoying music that they love, and it became a tragedy for some people. But that's that. And oh, guys, on the 15th of May, there will be a subcommittee council meeting being held, and this is in London, obviously. And I believe people need to go to this meeting. I genuinely believe that people in the community need to attend this meeting so that they can speak on behalf of the community. Because when there's nobody there to represent or be a voice for the community, then there's nobody to challenge the Met Police. They get what they want, you know? It's heartbreaking. Guys, let's get this video to the Shade Borough, okay? Maybe they will listen to us there. Like, if it's on the Shade Borough, you know, people care about it. So, Suzanne, are we going to make that happen? Let's get this video to the bloody Shade Borough so they can listen to us, okay? Because I am outraged. I'm like, people should care. People should actually care about this challenge by the Met Police. Moving on to our next story, guys. Oh, this is another one. Getting under my skin. Bank of England economist analyst has stated that people are poorer and they should just accept it. They should stop trying to fight the fact that as a country, people are poorer. So stop trying to ask for a raise from your bosses. Stop trying to, you know, outlive cost of living crisis because this is your new situation. You should just adapt to it. You know, want less. Do less things with your kids. Do less activities. You know, budget better to adjust to the new way of life, essentially. Here's a video I want to share with you guys. Just a moment. Is the sound on?
What we can do is try to prevent inflation becoming more ingrained in the system.
You're trying to get into people's heads and ask them not to ask for too high pay rises.
Well, broadly, yes. Really? I would say that in the sense of saying we do need to see, you know, moderation of wage rises. Now that's painful. I don't want to, in any sense, you know, sugar that message. It is painful. But we need to see that in order to get through this problem more quickly.
So he said we are happy they're trying to get into people's heads. That's actually a statement the journalist made. Like, are you actually trying to get into people's heads and make them believe that they're poorer? And this comes back to how this is a psychological welfare, guys. Like, your mindset and your mentality matters, because why else would they be trying to get into your head if your mind, your state of mind didn't matter, you know? And there are a lot of people who have accepted that they're poorer for it. They read this article, they saw it, they said, oh, okay, you know, I accept, this is my fate. But no, that should not be the case. That should not be the case. No, like, I'm not saying people should aspire for living in mansions and living luxurious lifestyles and, you know, buying materialistic things. But to say that, yeah, you're going to struggle month to month. You're going to need to go to the food bank. You're not going to be able to go on holiday. You're not going to be able to, you know, there are times where your electric might run out and for a few hours you're going to be sitting in the dark, and you just have to accept it, because that's the state where we're at. We're not at the state of, you know, people are just cutting off. You used to go on three holidays a year, but now you can only go on one. No, I'm not talking about that kind of luxury. I'm talking about the bare minimum, the basic stuff. That's what we're talking about here. Oh, I'm already forwarding to them. Oh yeah, the Shade Borough. But this is the UK, guys. Like, this is what they're asking us to accept, like, as a way of life, as a way to live. You know, this is the standard they've set for the majority, because at the end of the day, this is the majority being affected by inflation, you know. And let's not forget, do we not remember how these oil companies were reporting record-breaking profit straight after the gas and electric prices went up. So somebody got richer. The gap widened between the rich and the poor because the rich got richer and the poor got poorer, essentially. And now they're being told just accept it and accept that this is the new way moving forward. You know, I think it's heartbreaking that people are even being told that by their own, well, I wouldn't say he's part of he works hand in hand in the government. And very funny, because statements like this were actually started to be made a few years ago by like-minded economists. And the UK government, they said they didn't respond to it. However, they did not even try to shut down those kind of thoughts and comments. They didn't speak for it or against it. You know, they're just sitting there patiently waiting to see, how is this information going to sit with the public before we really jump on it? We jump on the bandwagon, you know? It's unfortunate. Just to elaborate on that story, the man speaking is actually, this is actually a podcast that took place in the US. Again, why do UK representatives keep going to the US to speak on British problems? Like, this is an in-house problem. Yeah, we are kind of facing a similar struggles and experiences across the board in the Western world. But why go out of the country to go and do that? I don't understand. You know, why is this being done out of the country? Why are we not doing it on British soil? You want to talk about the people, tell them that they're poorer, tell them to their face. Don't leave the country and go and say it somewhere in another country. You know, it's because they know what they're saying is not right. Like, yeah, people are struggling a bit more, but I genuinely believe in mentality and mindset, and people should not be succumbed to poverty mindset. It's not a way to live. People should be able to be hopeful, to be able to know that I might be in the situation financially right now, but I should be able to get to a financial place where I'm comfortable, my family is comfortable, and we're okay. We can operate from this place, you know? Because financial stability is different for everybody. Let me know what y'all think in the comment sections, guys. Ooh. Oh, food prices are being reported to come down a little bit, so that's something. I mean, there's still some people are saying that's not the case, but there are reports saying that they have, and other reports are saying, well, to make a cheesy toast sandwich is like 3 times more expensive now, you know. So what do you believe? Like, what should we actually take as the truth if one person is telling us something and then, you know, another organization is telling you something else? Like, you know, that's why we kind of have to have our own mind in this, guys. This is why we encourage thinking for ourselves and analyzing things for ourselves and our situation. Like, yeah, it's okay for the public to generalize. Like, even the phone alert system that just took place, they just released an article saying 1 in 5 people did not receive the alert. However, going back to when they first started talking about the alert, they said everyone in the country who has a 4G or 5G phone, tablet, device will receive the alert. However, there are people with iPhones and Samsung phones, 4G, 5G level, who did not receive the alert. Why was that? What kind of mind games are that? Like, why did that happen, you know? Why tell people something's going to happen and then it's not happening, and then afterwards, it's like we're just human experiments at this point, just experimenting our behavior, experimenting how we react to situations. And, you know, Katie Hopkins, she's not one who you can agree with all the time, but she spoke on this the other day on YouTube, and I was like, you know, she makes valid points there. Comment section. It's mad. I never imagined this happening. I just feel like one thing after another. So sad we're dealing with cost of living crisis in 2023. Yeah, definitely. It started off as a joke, right? Summer 2022. It started off as a joke. Oh, cost of living crisis, cost of living crisis. It's just a joke. It's just, you know, and I think that's our problem. We just turn everything into a joke in this society, in this day and age. Like, we can... Yeah, it's okay to find laughter in a bad situation, but to the extent where you're just you're not even willing to deal with it or be able to stand up against it. And here we are, almost a year later, experiencing the consequences of information we were given but didn't do anything about, because we don't believe we have anything we can do. And I think that's where we've come at as a society. We don't believe we have the ability to make a difference. We don't have the ability to contribute to our government, because they are there as our representatives. When you think about members of parliament, they all represent a borough, a city, a town, a country, and then they all gather. That's your voice there, all sitting together in the House of Parliament. However, it's like there's been a detachment there. Are you actually representing these people? Because the same people you say you're representing, I didn't receive that alert. I turned mine off. I actually agree with some of Katie Hopkins' opinions. Yes, I turned mine off as well, because I actually wanted to know whether or not it's true, like whether or not I had the ability to do that on my phone, because as they stated, the alert was not based off whether you're on do not disturb or your phone was off. If the alert services are still turned on, the alert would come through. So I actually wanted to test that out, and mine didn't come through either, but that was by choice. But there's some people who were actually excited to receive the alert and didn't receive it, you know. And for me, that's just, yeah, go look it up. She spoke on it actually, so if you haven't already seen it. But yeah, I genuinely believe that was just one of those test the public moments again, as the way they tested us with COVID, to see how compliant we are, to see how sheepish we are as a society. And they continue to prove themselves right, unfortunately. But on to the next story, actually. Diana Abbott, our beloved Member of Parliament who has served for over 3 decades now. I didn't even realize she was in politics that long, but you can imagine the roller coaster of experiences she's had in Parliament. And, you know, she has seen when people of colour or the minority or even people of working class were fighting for the bare minimum. And I actually was watching through some of her videos recently, and you could just see the tiredness in this woman. Like, she said, I've been fighting this fight for 30 years. We've been having these conversations for 30 years. Like, when is it going to stop? When is it going to change? All I see is a woman who's been exhausted. And when she spoke up in this article she was writing, I believe that was just a woman who is tired of seeing the same thing happening over and over again, you know? And just to read what was said that is so outrageous, that a woman has to be suspended from her job, who has committed her whole life to this. Okay, let me just have a read through the article. The politician said many types of white people with points of differences can experience prejudice, but they are not subject to racism all their lives. So this is what has caused the outroar. And she has apologized. She has apologized for this. And straight away, as soon as this article was released, the Jewish community made a report and said they wanted her suspended immediately. And that's exactly what happened. And I am not taking away from the suffering of the Jewish community, of the Jews, and, you know, anybody else. The Irish as well. The Irish, I'm like, you know, when you're, guys, this is just me talking, right? When you're from a different part of the world, or when you are from Africa, or you're a person of color, you think all white people are equal. Like, you don't even know that amongst themselves they have separated themselves in different racial statuses. Like, you know, we had no knowledge of this growing up. I just used to think, yep, as long as you're white skinned, you have the same privilege as all white people. But, you know, you quickly come to learn that they have faced their own prejudices, and especially the Irish. I didn't realize how badly, you know, the English were prejudiced towards the Irish. And you live and you learn. You learn that that is not the case. And obviously the sufferings of the Jews caused by Hitler and all of it was devastating. And we are not allowed to make a comparison. We are not allowed to put a scale of, you know, racism that happened with slavery for 400 years. We're not allowed to do that. We're not allowed to put it up against, what happened with the Jews and Hitler. We're not allowed to do that. It's illegal. I'm even scared to do it, child. I'm scared to do that because you don't do that. You don't do that. You don't make comparisons. You don't. And no, because I agree. One suffering is not greater than the. You can't say. Oh, let me retract that statement. You cannot say, I suffered more than you, therefore my suffering is more valid than your suffering. Absolutely not. However, if we are going to have honest conversations and reprehensions, we need to be able to openly speak about these things, but we cannot do that. It's illegal. Like I said before, it's illegal. And unfortunately, a woman who has dedicated her whole life to Parliament is now, her career is at stake. This is how it ends. Is this how it ends for Diana? Is this how it ends for her? Or are we going to stand up for her? Are we going to be by her side? That's just the question. Are we going to stick beside her? Or what she said was, we can't challenge that community. We can't do that. We can't stand up for Diana. We're going to leave her hanging there. And, which is very ironic and funny. There's actually an article that's been written that says a lesson that we learned from Diana Albert's Raw is like, we actually learned a lesson. Don't do it. That's the lesson that we learned. Comment section. You're not allowed to voice as a black woman in politics. It has just been evidenced. Absolutely disturbing. It is. And politicians have been saying some disturbing things over the years, and as a result of what happened with Diana, it's been coming up. Boris Johnson was a journalist, and let me tell you, that man's mouth, ooh child, he said some things, and yet he was prime minister. He said some very disturbing things in his time as a journalist, and he still got into politics. He still got to the highest point in ministry. But here we are today. But guys, that is nearly my time up for today. Thank you so much for joining me in today's discussion. Time flies by when you're having fun. We're not really having fun. We're talking about some very, very important matters that affect us and people should care about. But unfortunately, they're either told, oh, don't pay too much attention to that. It's not that serious. Or no, look here, pay attention to this. While we do this thing over here and you don't know what's going on for real. Or let's use somebody as a living sacrifice. Diana Abbott is a living sacrifice right now. She's a lamb. She has been, she's being slaughtered. Are we going to let her be slaughtered? But yeah, as we said, there's a lot of double standards in this world, in this politics and democracy, unfortunately. But thank you so much for today, guys. It's actually been a great discussion. I've enjoyed conversating with you guys, and I will see you here next week on another episode of the Hope Akedika Show.